and keep this movement going.
Well, I think definitely, anywhere that we can go after whoever we could get. I mean, it's, I keep hearing it's like, what was I watching last night? I was watching something last night where it was a comedian here in Los Angeles has a new show, and all of a sudden he had Karen Bass on there, and she was talking about all the wonderful things that she's working on in the city, and I was just so disgusted, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, she's all fluff and puff, and I think to be able to get into her office and to get her on board with the mission is number one. It's just like baby steps getting into the office.
Right. We've been talking about the fact of trying to deal with LAPD, the police commission, and all that. Mona's made amazing strides in that
Yes,
field.
yes.
With
And
Michael. Yeah,
okay,
with Michael. We've been doing it together.
excellent. There you go. And the thing is that we're not, it's there is getting some notice, but it's got to come from higher up, because if we can't get it from the top levels down, it just continues to fester. They'll ignore it for a little bit and they'll do what they got to do to appease people for the moment, but we've got to start holding their feet to the fire. And I was talking with Becky, and there's a lot of other things that we can look into, especially with the large Latina and Hispanic population there, and the fact of the human trafficking that's going on, and start organizing groupings to come out and help with the protests of this. So
we've been really, I mean, as Mona says, we've been working together in the background, and we are working together in the background. We've been really lucky because we're slowly putting together a crew that we are assigning different tasks for, and this is definitely a task that needs to be assigned to one of our crew members, because we're being baby steps. We're not running into this because this is a slow game. This is not a long game. This is a slow game, and we're finding the cracks where we can find the cracks, and we squeeze in through the cracks, and that's how we have to do it. So yes, definitely Karen Bass is on our list, and I would love, I mean, God, how I would love just to sit down and have lunch with her and just have a conversation with her, just to get in that door, because like she's not oblivious, but she's oblivious, but she's not oblivious.
Absolutely.
She's an idiot, but I'll be nice.
These politicians will do anything and everything to do, whatever they have to do to save their own ass. That's what they're doing. And you see it all around the board. You see it with LAPD. You see, look at me yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to see what I was doing yesterday, Poe, but you just see these police officers. Here I was at a public event yesterday. They had a permit to use L. Ron Hubbard Ways. It was for El Salvador, right? Mm-hmm. And the Scientologists, when I was walking down there, they came up to me and they told me, "Oh, you need to leave before you get arrested for trespassing." I'm like, "Who am I trespassing?" And so I sat there and I said to him, "I'm like, no, this was broadcast on TikTok. All are invited. Come support our mission here. Come support our vendors. Come, support us." And I did that. But meanwhile, somehow the Scientologists got to the head of the organization for El Salvador's meeting and said, "Oh, no, he's trouble there." And how are they able to influence? It's just ridiculous how thick this goes.
Right. And that's
they put the fear of God in them. And let me tell you, when I spoke with the Salvadorian consul, that woman was shaking. But you know what? You represent the community. You're supposed to support your community. How many human rights violations haven't you heard about? So why all of a sudden now you act like, oh my God, these people? Fuck her too. I don't care.
Well, no,
you know what? If you don't have the cojones to be out there and back up your community after you gave us your word that you would, then you don't need to be in that position. I'm sorry, but that's just.
You know what? When people, unfortunately, the sad part is, in Poe, this is my dad was an LAPD officer, and people, when they see that badge, they just get so scared, especially the Latin community. How many family members are here that they're not here on a green card. They don't have anything. So they're really, I mean, they're in this fear. And so when they see that badge, they freeze and they'll do anything to respect that badge. Well, I say this to the badge, it's like, you know what? I know what's behind the badge. I know who's behind the badge. And, and it was sad because like I even did a little short today on the police officer that came up to me, and I just got done talking to this great lady that has all these holistic places down in El Salvador. She wants to promote more stuff. And I told her about my personal company that I have for pets. And she's like, oh my God, I would love to have you. Maybe I would love to work with you and actually maybe bring your so I was supporting. There was a printer there I was supporting. There was, a girl with her own mobile nail salon. I do events, I do weddings. So there was all these people I was supporting. But then the police got to that lady that you were talking about, and then she was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Who's gonna do the arrest on me?" And they're like, "Oh, she is." I'm like, "Why is she gonna be arresting me? What have I?" But it's just that thick. And so we have to remember to have compassion for everybody during this process, because this is a slow game. If we jump and attack at all these people and like, of course I wanted to go there today and just attack her. No, I've got her information. I'm actually going to go into her office this week and I'm going to have a lovely little conversation with her, and I'm going to like bring it. And it's part of our animation that we have in our pack. It's like we get to bring this to the public, because she was frightened. You saw it, when I looked at her and I asked her, I said, did you post on TikTok that everybody's welcome to come here today and support?
She said yes.
And the police is like going, and that's when I looked at him and I'm like, look, you just embarrassed yourself. You didn't embarrass me.
Yeah.
But it's like,
she invited me personally. And I told, and I just posted the video that I told her I would make private, and I will say it again.
You said that, yeah.
If she withdrew her support on me, then why should I not post what I told her that I would keep private? And there's nothing wrong with what she said or what I told her. I just told her about the kids that were being in there. And you know what? She did look frightened. And then they cornered her. They literally cornered her.
They cornered her.
And that part,
it wasn't the city, it was Scientology. And why was Scientology running around their event? They had no right to be running around their event. And you saw at one point that they set up a table with all their books and all that, and someone made them take their table down because they were not part of it. They weren't there to sell Scientology book, and they actually take their table down. So they pulled out their Scientology books. But it's just like, I say this all the time, we have to have compassion for everybody. She did not know what she was getting herself into. She did not know that by permitting that. And it's sad.
Nice.
No, you have to be nice, Becky. You have to.
We were.
It's like, I know we were, and that's all you do is you have the respect for the moment, and then you go back after the fact. And because like the girls that after they had that conversation with me, I went back and spoke to the lady that I just got done talking to that they pulled me away from, and they're like, "What's going on?" And they had no idea about Scientology. Nobody knows. A lot of people understand what's going on behind the walls of Scientology, and that's our number one mission for the public, is to bring that information, because if we don't bring the information, nobody else is going to.
And like you were talking earlier about
the surrounding community is aware. The surrounding community, the large Latino community, Central American especially, they are aware of it, because when I went around past I think it was Vermont and whatever, they have a taco place, a carnitas place that I went to go get, and they know about it. They know, and they will tell you, you know what, we stay away from that building. And I spoke to another, I think she was from Guatemala, the day that I was handing out the lemongrass tea on Friday. And I didn't catch her on video because I don't record really when I'm not doing something. And especially if I'm talking to the community, I want them to feel free to speak. I don't want them to feel like they have, thank you, my love. I don't want them to feel that they have this camera on them and now it's all. So I talk to them away from the camera, but their stories is always the same. Oh no, we stay away from there.
Yeah. Well, Michael, like you were talking about with the badge and everything like that, that's why I've said it many times, pretty much since I started this channel, The officer makes the badge, not the badge makes the officer. And it's the amount of integrity and honor you have as an officer, and the fact that you're willing to stand behind your oath to support the United States Constitution, support the rights of the people. That's what makes the badge. That's why, back in earlier times, there used to be a thing they called officer friendly, and how we had moved so far away from that. And in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, where it got to be, instead of worrying about community policing, being part of the community, it was about just get out there, do the job, write as many tickets as you can, earn as much money for the city as you can. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a revenue collection machine for the city. My job as a police officer is to protect and serve. And that's the way I've always looked at it. That's why I've always been heavily involved in the community. And I think they keep pushing out these officers and training them in this way where everyone is your enemy. The citizens hate you. They're never going to like you. You're nothing that you're going to do is going to change it. And these officers keep getting pumped out like that. They're putting them out on the streets. And what do? They put them into the absolute worst areas for their initial training once they get out on the streets as a police officer, and they start believing that. And I think that there has to be a whole change in mindset in law enforcement to, it's not about whether the community hates you or not. Who cares if they hate you? You do your job and you do it right. You serve the community.
Sir Crepitus taught me something the other day on one of his videos. I'm not too old to learn a little bit. And that's the Los Angeles Police Directive 02006. And that the police officer, and that's, you need to remember that number, the Police Directive 02006. A police officer has the discretion to file the PPA or accept the PPA or not. That's the directive 02006.
Well, that's another thing. They gave those forms to Scientology in my presence. When we were out there, when Scotty got all the hot dogs, was it that day? No. When Laura went out and spoke with Otto, whatever the hell his name is. And I asked him, I said, let me have those forms too. Oh no, we don't give those to the public. Oh, but you'll give it to Scientology?
Well, that's what I said yesterday to the police officer that was, who approached me. As I looked at him and he's like, you really, I'm trying to be nice to you right now and let you know that you've been warned.
Was it the sergeant?
The guy that I forget his name right now, the guy that I was talking to, but he sat there and
was it a sergeant?
I don't think so. And so he said to me, he's like, I'm trying to be nice and did it. And I said, where are you? Wait. Let me speak, Becky. I have to tell these ladies, hold on, they get going, and you got to put, but there you go. Perfect. Okay. I'll send you one of mine. Okay. But yeah, here, how can I reach there and go, no. But he sat there and I sat there and I said, it sounds like you've got them. You're on their side. Where are you on my side? Protecting me with my right of somebody threatening to actually do a public arrest on me for what? Why don't you sit here and be on my side for a second? Let's go investigate this and see who's doing this and why are they doing it so that you can actually stand up for my rights. Well, I'm not here to do that. It's really sad. Unfortunately, in Hollywood and near any Scientology building that I've been around in Florida, wherever, the first thing they do is they become pals with the local police department. They honor them with all these awards, all these special, checks for this, use our property for this. We're going to give you overtime pay for this. And so they get in the pocket of the Scientologists, and there's nothing that we can do about that. The only thing we can do is just keep going out there and showing our face, because Scientology right now is stressed. You see it. Yeah. Their actions and what's going on with Scientology. Serge has been doing this for a lot longer than anybody that's been on these channels. I've been here with him watching this and watching what he's been doing in the background for over a decade now. Okay. And to see, the movement that's happening right now with Scientology, it's pretty impressive that they're this stressed out right now.
Yeah. And I've been trying to stress that what you were talking about earlier as well. This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint.
Right.
We've got to dig our heels in, and we've got to be prepared for the long haul of this. And that's why I've been doing a lot of content where I'm showing this is how you build your reports that you're sending to the elected officials. This is how you build your reports or complaints against the actions of the police. What I want to do is I said it as chief of police thousands of times. The best police officers are the ones you give training to. That's how you build good police officers. And so that's why I keep doing these. Is I want the folks who are going to be in this, I want everybody to have their own arsenal, that they know that if I've got to do a report on this, or I've got to make a complaint on this, these are the kind of steps I got to do. And I was just looking there when you were talking about that. LAPD on their own website, this is their motto: to protect and serve. Are they, but the problem with it is it doesn't say who they're protecting and serving, because right now they're protecting and serving Scientology. They're not serving their community. They're not protecting their community. And, we just have to be prepared. LAPD is a huge organization with a lot of money. Scientology is a huge organization with a lot of money. SPTV is grassroots, and it's building by the day, but we got to be prepared. None of this happens overnight. And we just got to be vigilant about it. And having you and Serge out there, and I think that that's one of the reasons, when I saw that you'd come in, we were talking about it earlier, about you and Serge as part of the relay team, handing the baton of the banner or something along those lines. Is that it's very important that we all recognize the fight we have, and that we all come together in a formulated plan, because Scientology's got their plan down. We just got to figure out how we're going to do it ourselves, and what's going to be the best.
Let me just say something about the protesters. It doesn't matter who it is. We all bring something to the table. And I know that some of them are viewed more than others. Some of them are accepted more than others. But every single person that goes out there has some value. Again, don't put anybody on a pedestal, because if they fucking do something wrong and that pedestal gets pulled from under them, I'm gonna tell you straight up, this is who I am. I'm loudmouth. I will make a mistake, and I think I've said it before. I will fuck up. Let me just guarantee you, I will fuck up.
We all do.
And once that being said,
it's called being human.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? When they feel that someone has messed up and they are horrible to them in chat, and I'm not going to mention any names, but when that protester feels that they're no longer welcomed, or their protesting is no longer worth something, and now they feel that they no longer bring value to this protest, then we already started losing. Because no matter, as long as they're not saying anything harmful towards any of the victims, like I said, we're all gonna fuck up. We're all gonna fuck up. Except whoever is out there as a protester completely. As long as they're not bringing harm to the victims, to the protesters, then you know what? Don't put us on a pedestal, because we're going to fucking fall flat in our face. I might just tell you that.
So I think that, and that's why I was happy to get you in, Michael, to get you in on this chat, because you are, sometimes we all get worked up. I get worked up. Not Pinche Becky. She never gets worked up. But, we need that calming voice. and that's why I was very happy that you were willing to jump in, because you're going to have ideas. You're there, boots on the ground, and you're doing it almost daily. So the thing would be is that's why I think that you are a very good driving and calming voice in this movement, and you're able to steer how people think and feel and get us in the right direction. And I want to thank you for jumping in on that. So
Well, it's like I was on Pearl Snappies just a little while ago, and then just before that, I was on Zachary, and Zachary is going through a hard time. It looks like right now because of like he's taken everything all the other protesters are saying. He's like, and we've got to remember this is not junior high school. This is not high school. We're not on a playground, and we've got these little cliques here and there and here and there and there. We are a team of people that have certain beliefs that are very similar, and we've got a mission in mind. And if we bring our mission together and we get rid of that childish play, and that childish play is going to naturally pop up for many of us because we are getting triggered so many different ways. I get triggered by seeing the LAPD officer because my dad was, and it wasn't a very delightful situation that I was in. But, I learned to look past it, but it's like we have to be together in all this and forgive everybody for if they make a mistake, they're going to make a mistake. But the protesters that are out there, just the fact that they're out there, you've got to have compassion for them no matter what they're doing. No matter what they're doing. Now, there's some people out there, I could say, I'm just as guilty as other people about there's some protesters out there that, they just don't sit right with me. But you know what? That's okay because they're touching somebody else that they sit right with right now. And that's all that matters. It's not about how I feel about them. It's about the mission that I have in my heart to be able to protect the kids and get the kids out of there and, make it right for the kids. And so we have to remember that we're not kids in high school. We're not cliques in high school. We have to stay focused on our mission and work together as a team, because if we don't work together, because like in the last few months, we've seen a lot of these people come out at each other and they're attacking each other and they're saying this about each other. And I'm like, guys, stop.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of their tactics is to divide and conquer.
And that's exactly what they want to see. They want to see us at each other's throat, because if everybody's at each other's throat, then we're not at their throat. And we're not, our attention's been dragged away from what our initial intention is supposed to be, is about our mission about saving the children. It's not about attacking this organization. Yes, there are many people out there that, and this is me saying, like, I'm trying not to say it, but I'm saying it, that they have their opinion about what happened to them while they were in there. And I look at them and I'm like, well, wait a second. You guys are not really being honest. You've been out in this public space for how long, and you have how much information, and you haven't divulged it or shared it with others that could have made a big difference in other people's life today if you would have said something 6 months ago, a year ago, when you found out about it. But they've chosen not to for whatever reason. Now, are these people still kind of attached to Scientology? Potentially, we don't know. But you know what? We can't let it distract us. We have to stay focused on our mission.
Well, it's, that's like when I did the live about you're doing it wrong, and how there's so many people coming out and they want to talk about how the protesters are doing it wrong, and they want to talk crap about them and all that. And my point on it is every time you see them show up and Scientology folds up their tables, takes their books, run inside their building, lock the doors, and close all the blinds, you are doing something. You are making an effect, because if one person doesn't walk into that building as a potential new Scientologist, you've made ground. And I just, that's my feeling on it is that everybody is making some kind of effect on how it's going on. And I would love to see an end to this all infighting that's in it. And I'm guilty of it too, because I get so upset when I hear people that are just trying to be supportive and show other people the respect that they need, and see them getting drug out into it. I speak up from time to time, but that's why I've been trying to start curve more into, these are different things that you can do, different ways that you can do it. If you've been afraid of doing a channel, start your channel. Don't worry about you have $1 million studio for it. I want to start being more about helping people who want to get into this and want to be a part of the fight and have been afraid to, showing them that you don't have to be afraid. You just have to have the commitment and the courage to do it. And I agree with you 100%. The sooner we can get away from fighting with each other and return the focus directly to Scientology is that much quicker we're going to be able to bring about the end of this. We just have to remember it's not going to happen overnight.
Well, and then think with that, Poe, is that it's kind of part of the natural process, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has to happen. Unfortunately, it does have to happen because it kind of like it allows people that aren't really here for the right reason to kind of weed themselves out.
Right.
Correct.
You know what?
I agree because now there's somebody out there speaking against us. I agree.
Because once we start to see people's true colors, we know where we could set our boundaries with those people. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're not saying get off the street, don't protest, don't do whatever you're doing, but at least we know where we stand with our respect for our beliefs and where our boundaries are, and we know where to place these people. Now, my particular, and I'll say this right now, is like, one of my things is like, I hear a lot of first gen people come on and they have a lot to say, but they got a lot. They're not saying a lot that they know, but they're just, there goes my thing. I keep doing that. Is I feel like, that's one thing that frustrates me, is because like some of these first gens have known a lot of stuff for a long time and they're still not saying it. And I'm not going to say it for them, and I can't say it for them.
Right.
Because I wasn't there, but I think this is a natural. I think this is it's a part of life. They're going to weed themselves out, and the ones that are going to stay around are going to be the ones that really got the power behind them and the mission behind them. And we can't be, because what happens if we focus on these people doing this or focus on the people doing this, we're not focusing on Scientology. So we have to stay focused on Scientology. We could listen to the noise. It's important for us to listen to the noise so that we understand the noise and we can make our own decision on how we want to listen to that noise and place that noise where it belongs.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to add, we have Miss Audit LA in the house, and welcome Miss Audit LA. And we talked about your meeting tomorrow night. Just to let you know that you may have a lot of, if you're going to go Audit LA, you may have a lot of people on your stream.
It's there's going to be a meeting tomorrow with the what is it?
The neighborhood council.
Yeah. It's a neighborhood council for the blue building, and I'll be there with Audit as well.
Oh, good. So you guys have a couple of streams.
Well,
I might just be there, even if I don't say anything.
And you don't have, the thing is, you don't have to say anything. It's just like, it's like, I remember the first city meeting that I went to, and I didn't realize I was going to say something. And all of a sudden I had no control over what I was going to say. It just like came out of me, and I started talking about it, and it just like flew out of me because it was the passion behind me. But it's us making the connections, getting to know the people on the boards, because it's like, all we have to do is get these people to understand what's really going on, because a lot of these people on these committees have no clue what's going on.
Right.
Some of them may have some idea about the corruption or the mishandling of the power of the LAPD with the Scientology and all that, but the bottom line is, a lot of them, I mean, I can't tell you how often since, I've known of Dianetics, I've known of Scientology my whole life. I grew up here in Los Angeles. I took the personality test. I'm an actor. They try to wheel me in with the acting classes and all that. And I did all that stuff. But the moment I got in there and they started showing me around, they showed me the cans. I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Something's wrong. My gut said, get me the fuck out of here. And I just turned around and walked out, and they're chasing me. They're like, oh no, you're on this show. You're doing this. We want you. We want you. It's like, get the fuck away from me, And of course they bug me forever, but it's still,
what's the name of that meeting?
What's that?
What was I was asking Mona, what's the name of that meeting so I put that link back up? I got so many windows.
The neighborhood council.
That's different than the city council, right?
Yeah, this is the neighborhood. This is exactly for the blue building. Hey, Audit, can you put the information in the chat just so that we have it? If you
I
have
did,
handy.
and
Oh, you
Bo
did?
already has it, but that's okay. She
Okay.
can do it again.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. So, where was I? I've totally blanked
That
now.
it's a neighborhood council meeting versus a city council meeting. I just want everybody to understand that this is specifically to
Well, yeah,
the
'cause
Only for the
neighborhood
blue building
where that
neighborhood.
big
Yep.
blue building is.
this is for the blue building. But yeah, it's just important for us to show up and get to know these people and give them the information. Oh yeah, I was saying it wasn't until I met Serge did I understand the abuse that went on with the kids. And then when I met Laura, and then when I met Jen, and I met Liz, and these people, like, they've stayed with us, and I've had these conversations with them, and to understand the deep seated corruption with Scientology and what they've done to these kids, it just blows your mind when you really hear it come out of them, with their emotions coming out of them, and they're not out there protesting, screaming it, but you're actually having a conversation with them, and you see the pain and the suffering. It's like, I've been really blessed in my life, and I've had an incredible life. I've traveled the world. I've designed stuff around the world. I've created magical things, and I think these guys never had a chance to even dream about what they might want to do.
Well, look at Eric Rader. Look at Eric Rader. Every time you know, I hear his story and the anger that's in his voice, and it just breaks my heart. You know what? It just fucking breaks me sometimes. Where I come home and my husband tells me, you know, are
Yeah,
you okay? Yeah, I'm fucking okay. Leave me the fuck alone, you know, kind of a deal.
But,
no, these kids need love and compassion, and you know, by seeing these protesters out there, you guys are making such a huge difference. I mean, you've made such a huge difference, because they used to, Scientology, before you guys were on, they would come out of these buildings and they'd be walking around the buildings, they'd be grabbing people off the street, trying to convert them, I mean, all around the blue building, there was a buzz of people around Scientology buildings. There's no buzz around Scientology buildings with Scientologists any longer. And that's not because they decided one day, oh, don't go outside. It's because they don't want them talking to us. You know, in my live yesterday, like the guys on the security guys on the bicycles, I went up to them. I'm like, you guys, if you guys need to get out, we can help you. You know that I'm around here. Feel free to reach out to me. I was being very calm and just being very passionate for them. And you saw them. And one guy, I even took a snapshot of him. He even like gave me a thumbs up down below. You know, that he was listening to me. And it was like these little moments with these guys, because these kids are like, I mean, the one kid was like, I think I don't even know if he was 21, the last one I was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
The security guard?
Yeah, the last little one down at the end where you were sitting.
But see,
Yeah, I had to
what
give him some grace at the end because he was really pissing me off with this little smile because I got kicked out. And then I had to remember, or somebody in chat said, just say kind words to him. Then I
You
had to remember, you know what? He's been brainwashed. I
mean,
wasn't being mean. I'm
no,
never mean.
Beck, you have to remember this. You have to, and it's hard sometimes because we don't come from the world, okay? We weren't brainwashed
I
like
know.
kids are. These kids are born. I mean, when Serge was down in Florida, and the number one thing, don't ever talk to the police. They're the enemy. Don't ever talk to the public. They're the enemy. If you're sick, you can't go to a doctor. You'll have to, you're pulling it in. You have to figure out why you're pulling in being sick. I mean, people have died in their hands. They have not been able to see doctors. I mean, this organization has brainwashed them and gaslit them into a belief of a system of saving the world. And you know what? They're not saving the world for you, me, or Poe, or anybody else but themselves, they think. You know, and so these kids don't know any different. They don't know any different than waking up and going out there and taking out the trash. I mean, Laura was what, 4 years old when she signed her billion-year contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I'm not
that's
gonna
also
lie.
why
I told you guys, don't put me on a pedestal because I will fuck up. I had to remember that he had been brainwashed. Again, I wasn't. I would think I was more angry that the cops were there with him and that he was laughing and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you guys never spoke to cops.
But
Exactly,
see,
I
you're
thought you
proving
guys never spoke to
you
cops.
can learn and that you can change also. And that's why I say when we're dealing with these folks that are the org members or the staffers or whatever, we have to remember that if these folks decide that they want to leave, who are they going to come to? And they need to know that the people they're going to come to are going to be the people that are going to be respectful and are going to help them. And I think that's very important. And Becky, I know you got it. We all get angry at some point and we all lose it sometimes. That happens. It's just human
Well, I
nature.
just have to remember the harm reduction and it's meet them where they're at. And, again, I was so angry that he was talking to the cops, laughing at it, that they kicked me out of there. And I felt like, oh, you little asshole. But then again, someone in chat mentioned, be kind to them. And so I just started, we'll feed you, we'll home you, SBTV. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm 54 years old, and I'm gonna tell you something. If you're the smartest one in the room, you're fogged because that
Well,
means you're not learning.
I think on your level with the harm reduction, thinking about it as if you're dealing with someone who has an addiction.
Yeah.
And their goal is to continue that addiction. How do you help them? You show them with love, with compassion, with empathy. And that's how I view it personally. Everybody has their own right to view it the way they want. But if I'm someone who's in an organization like that and I've got people coming at me and yelling and screaming, I may be thinking at the moment before I meet them, this may be my last day. I'm done with this. Then suddenly I've got these people who are treating me that way. All it's going to make me do is resolve my belief in that organization. It's like a teenager who says, I'm in love with this person, and the parents go, you can never see them again. What do? They double down on how they feel about that person. And that's the way I look at those things. As I want those people to realize that, yes, I don't like Scientology, but I care about you. And I want you to understand I'm here if you're ready to leave. And that's the way I look at it. And
That is
I did have to pull back. I will admit I did have to pull back. And again, the anger I think was more directed to the cops than anything else. He just happened to get caught in the crossfire.
okay.
And again, we can learn. It angers us so much what they do to the protesters sometimes that we forget
Right.
why we're
I was
there.
there. We were in North Hollywood when I first started protesting a while back. We were in North Hollywood at one of their events, and like I said, we're all guilty of it. And it's like I saw this lady with 3 young boys, probably 11, 8, and 4, coming out of this event at midnight. And meanwhile, in the event, someone snuck a picture over the fence and saw that they had a bouncy house for the kids, and so I sat there and I'm like screaming at the lady with the kids. And all of a sudden, someone in my chat, thank you very much, whoever that was, said to me, Michael, don't scream because the kids are frightened. You can frighten the kids by screaming. And that's where I learned, like, wait a second. I shouldn't be screaming. I don't want to be screaming. I don't want to scare these kids. I want them to know that it's safe out here. I don't want them to feel like, oh my God, because we're born with our natural instinct to go back to what we think works. Even if it doesn't really work in our life, our instinct is to always go back to what works when we think something else is not working. So we've got to remember, we've got to break that gap for them. And that's a big gap to break because we're not just dealing with the natural human experience of going back to what we know what works, our own experiences, but we're also breaking the gap of all that brainwashing that they've gone through.
Absolutely.
And if they're like Serge, if they're like Laura,
So hard to remember.
Yeah. And if they're like Serge or Laura or Jen and all these kids that were born in there, that's a big fucking gap to try to get them through.
Yeah, and I try to look at it when I'm dealing with them from the standpoint of the physician's motto, do no harm. I want them to realize that there is a safe space. Scientology, all bets are off, but for the members and giving them an outlet, I want them to know that, you know, we're here. I'm not the best person. I'm not perfect, but at least I'm willing to try. I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to try to help you. And that's my goal in it. And the more people we can get to drop away from that, that's the less staff, the less org that they have to continue running this evil cult. And
So let
I
me
think
ask you a question. So who can we get angry at? Because Scientology obviously has some evil
they've
people.
established
Who
the
can we get
organization.
angry at? Because everybody might say they're a victim, and yet, you know, they're victimizing people. So who can we get angry at?
But you
Well,
have to go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
you sure you want to go first, Poe?
Well, the way I'm looking at it, you got to remember, it's just like like I was talking about earlier, it's someone who has an addiction. The control isn't theirs. The control is the organization. That organization has become their narcotic that they're feeding off of. And it gets to a point where they hate it, but they can't leave it because they're so dependent on it. That's the way I look at the folks who are the org members and the staffers, is that we got to remember they're the puppets, and then you have the puppet masters. It's the people who are in the upper levels, the
That's what I
actual.
want to know. Where can I channel my anger? Because obviously there's parents in there that are stupid enough to believe that having their kids confessed, audited, or whatever the hell you want to call it is right.
But look at how many people who have been victims of, I'll give you an example, the Catholic Church we were talking about and the things that went on with that. Look at how many people, even knowing that, still support the priests that were involved with it.
Oh.
It's a matter of mindset. It's a matter of how they're thinking. And you get yourself so clouded and diluted into what's going on, and people just don't realize, you know, sometimes the truth is right in front of your face. It's just you can't see it through all the smoke that's being passed between it. And we have to remember that the people who are the org members, the staffers, the actual citizen members, they're all being lied to. This is a cult, and the whole point of it is mind control and making them do what they want. That's what it's all based on. And it's the higher ups, and it's the organization itself. The organization of Scientology is the monster that our anger goes towards.
Well, and Becky, I want to say this. You asked, who can you direct your anger towards? Okay. I want to invite you to look at the possibility of when you see that anger, you feel that anger, take that anger and put it in to you being an advocate. Take that energy and put it into you being an advocate, because the anger is not going to get you anywhere if you're out there screaming like a mad woman or a madman or whoever's out there screaming. It's not it doesn't, it's not the message we want to give. You want to be there you go. Yeah, you want to take that. I invite you to look at the possibility is like, if you see anger in your life, right? Why you're angry, right? I'm mad at these motherfuckers because of A, B, and C. Well, then write a list, say, well, what do you want instead? Well, I want the children out. How can I put this into, let me put my energy over here. Quit focusing on these idiots over here and focus on putting your energy over here and getting the kids out.
Right.
Take that anger and put it into that moment.
That's an excellent point. Think about it this way.
I like that. And again, it's
Think about it this way, Becky. Would you want those children seeing you angry and yelling and screaming and possibly making them afraid of you? Or do you want them to see you as, like I was talking about, that mother or abuela kind of person that they could run to for the safety?
Well, I will be telling you guys this normally, and I think you guys seen many of my lives and many of the times where I've been out there. That is something that I normally don't do. If I'm screaming, it's usually at a damn cop that was a damn idiot.
Right.
Yesterday, I think, like I said, yesterday I was angry. I don't remember saying anything that was offensive other than, really? You're laughing because we got kicked
Right.
out? Really? I mean, if you guys look at my life, however, that doesn't mean that in my brain I'm not thinking, and eventually what you're thinking becomes your words. So, thank you, Michael, for that.
Well, don't
There are times where we need to remember why we're out there. And yesterday was just one of those days where I was like, "Ooh, you little asshole!" And I'm not gonna lie, you
we're
guys,
not
you
saying you can't
again,
have a bad
this
day,
is who
Becky.
I am, and
We're
it
I
not
have
doesn't
to
mean I
tell you,
can't learn.
I have
you're
to tell you, Becky, that I am notorious for turning that anger from going from Harvard to Harlem in 2.2 seconds.
yeah.
But I have to reconnect my brain and
Hmm.
use it as an education tool for whatever I'm dealing with. One, you need to get yourself out of the situation you're in. Two, you need to get somebody else out of a situation they're in. And fear and anger only really makes it worse. And so you have to kind of use that anger as an impetus and as a fuel to educate or to get out of wherever you're at. I guess that helps me is being able to say, okay, stop. Now I need to use this fuel. I need to use that anger to turn things around, either to overcome the situation, overcome the people, outsmart them, out strategize them, and use it. Use it as a weapon.
I will take your guys's. I mean, I think when my anger comes out like that is usually because I've been in that situation. I have
I
been
was
that
just gonna
child.
I was just gonna say that, Becky. When you feel that anger, take a breath, take a look at yourself, and feel where that's coming from, because it's likely a trigger from your childhood, from your teenage years, from a marriage, from wherever it is. It's a trigger, and it seems similar, but it's really not similar. It's just something that triggered you in that situation, that all of a sudden this anger, and then the moment you feel that anger, say, oh my God, I'm really upset. And if you can spot what that anger is about, write it. I do this all the time. I teach a class on this, where write it down, say, what's not working about this anger for me right now? What is this reminding me of? This reminds me of the time when, for me, I would say, this reminds me, like you touched it, Poe. This reminds me of the time that I went to catechism school, and priest John kept calling me into his office and playing with me. That's what it reminds me of. Well, what do I do? What do
Yeah.
I want to? I don't want to put myself in that position, and I want to help others that are in that position to get out of that position. And instead of focusing on what's causing me the anger, I'm taking that anger and I'm putting it over here to help those people that are in that position right now. And I'm taking that energy, that anger of that energy, and putting it there because I want to help them, so they don't have to deal with what I did or have to go deeper into what they're going into right now. And that's why I'm here.
And you have to remember, we love you, Becky.
Yeah.
We love the
Not,
fun
you
that
know
you
what? I feel it. I feel it. And it's not that. I don't feel attacked by anybody. I don't feel that my chat attacks me. We get trolls in there that I don't even really give a fuck. I always say give a like, subscribe, and keep on commenting if you want. Um, I think my anger comes from not having that voice and it being taken away from me.
have. Absolutely.
And that's where the anger comes from. It's like, how fucking dare you try to take away my voice again? How fucking dare you turn what I was doing in there and talking to the community about what they were selling, what they were doing, what they were, and that's where I know where the anger was coming from. And you know what? It once again, it comes down to you trying to take away my voice that was taken away so many years ago. And
That's
how
right.
fucking dare you, whether you be a man, woman, or child, how fucking dare you try, or a troll, how dare you try to take my voice away? That's where that anger was coming from, because I know that we were doing loving, beautiful stuff in there, showcasing their stuff. We weren't being harmful to them. We weren't being anything to Scientology. We weren't being a threat to them. Well, actually, no. I think we were a huge threat because we were showing that we were loving on people, and that's where that
That's a
anger
huge
came
threat.
from.
That's a huge threat
And
to them.
that's where that anger came from. That's where the whole screaming, fuck you, Scientology came from. And it was once again, whether it be, you are awesome, Weiss, and I love you. Oh, Sir Crepitas, you just don't know what you guys mean to me.
Well,
And
I
I
want you
always
to
try to
realize,
use, I
Becky,
always try to use my voice in a loving way when I'm out there.
right.
But yeah,
But
that's where the anger was
I
coming from.
want you to
How fucking
realize,
dare you try to shut somebody's voice down?
every one of us here, we hear you, we see you, and we love you. All right. I want
I
you to
know that.
realize
Thank
that.
you. Thank
How many times I have to tell you, I think you're an angel. All right. I think that your voice is very strong and very powerful and needed in this.
thank
And
you.
we just don't want, we want you to be able to make your voice that much more powerful is what we want. And we know that you
I'll
can be
behave to
power.
my ability. That's the only thing I'm
And
gonna promise.
you don't have to behave. You just get to be yourself. It's just like, you remember the time that we came out to Pasadena just recently with
Oh,
you, and you got really triggered and you got really frustrated. Well, that's where you've got to take a deep breath, take a moment, back up, know that you've been triggered, okay, and draw a boundary. And what happened is, like, I didn't see a boundary drawn there, and you kept going back into that space that was angering you. Those people were fools. I saw it. They weren't going to give us a time of the day, and you put your trust into someone. We put our trust into a lot of these people,
that's
and
what it was.
yeah,
That's
and
what it
they
was.
yeah, and they don't come through for us. And you sat there and you're like, where the fuck's my trust that I'm supposed to be having with you right now? And you stayed there and you kept doing this and this. You saw me. I drew a boundary. I'm like, okay, we're moving on. Becky, we'll see you soon. And you stayed there. And I don't know how long you were in that
No, I
moment.
left right behind you.
Okay. But I'm just saying, take a moment, draw a boundary for yourself, understand your trigger. Don't let them have the best of you. That's a long time ago.
I'm gonna tell you where that came from. I trusted him, and I really felt like I failed. That's why I went to Big Blue, because I figured, you know what? Um, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna be just like, it failed. Not that anybody was blaming me. I never sensed that from you guys. I never sensed that from you guys. But that's something that I took on upon myself to feel like I fucking failed. And after speaking about it, voicing it out loud, I didn't fail. That fucking idiot failed. And I understand that eventually, but at the moment, it just feels like, oh, you
It
asshole.
triggered you. It triggered you of a childhood memory that you thought you were doing your best and you're going to get your A's and you got everything in row, and all of a sudden they didn't even look at your report. They
Yeah.
didn't give you a chance to even be able to talk about your report, and you felt like you failed because you weren't able to get your message across. You're dealing with a group of people that are compromised, that are complicit with Scientology, and they're going to give you anything they think that they're going to give you to be able to get you off their back. And they're like, okay, we'll take it. We'll listen. We've seen it. We've been here. We've seen it. So what you did is exactly great for yourself, because when you took that energy, you went over to the blue building and you're able to do something different there, and you're able to make a
Right.
difference there. So draw the
Michael,
boundary.
this is something that Poe and I had talked about the other night, was the fact what triggers a lot of us is that trust. You
Yeah.
really, really want to and expect to trust the authority figures. You really want to. That's the way we all grew up. That's what you really want in your soul. And then all of a sudden they smack you in the face when their trust is not there. They
Yeah.
rip it right off from you. There's no trust. And all of a sudden you're like, what the hell just happened? I just got my face smacked, literally. I mean, almost literally.
That's how it felt.
That
It was
trust
a slap
just
in the
is
face.
ripped right off from you.
It was it was a slap in the face, and again, eventually I understood that it wasn't me who failed. But at the moment, at that time, when I saw Serge and Michael just walk away, and I understand those were your boundaries, but at that point in time, I just, I gave up my Sunday with my husband. I gave
I
up a
know,
festival that
exactly.
I was supposed to go to. And it was like, you fucking assholes. That's how I felt right there at the spot. So I
Yeah.
figured, you know what? My Sunday is already shot. Let me go to Big Blue. And then that's when shit hit the fan. And now we're here with LAPD. And, that was the day that Wendell Tyrone Manning exposed himself. So again, we go back to all the stars align. I'd rather it happen to me, who always has a voice. It might be kind of shut down from time to time, but I will always find a fucking hole somewhere and speak up on it. And now we're here learning about LAPD, what they're up to, what they did. It really, I still believe in good officers. I'm not gonna lie. I still believe in good officers. Now,
There's some good officers. I've seen some, there's a lot of young kids that I see coming out now that are new on the force, and they're good. But and you get this pose where it's like, and I saw this with my dad, it's like, you get into this, a clique, it's a clique. And all the officers are doing all this shady ass shit over here because this is just what they're doing. It's just part of their gimmick or whatever you want to call it. But they do this, and the new guy comes in, and the new guy has a choice. He could either like really try to be a law-abiding officer and be there to protect and to serve and all that. But all this mess over here is likely going to influence them, and they're going to feel like I either got to join them or I'm fucked. And unfortunately, most of them get that peer pressure and they join this corruption that's going on. And that's just one of those things that we've got to break down slowly. It's just like, it's hard. We're fighting not just one organization. We're fighting many organizations that are just truly gaslighting us, and they'll say anything to us to get us out of their way. But the bottom line is, you don't even have to listen to them half the time. You just have to remember what your mission is and why you're there. Because just you being there without saying a word to anybody, just you being there in a quiet mindset, in a peaceful mindset in front of Scientology, you're stirring up shit.
And,
thank you for that. I
it-
really needed to hear it today because I'm gonna tell you, it's
yeah.
there are times where I feel that I go out there and it's like, why? It doesn't make a fucking difference. Why?
No, it makes a difference. Every
It
single
will.
person is different.
Thank
It will. We will make a
It
difference.
does.
This
It
is
does.
effective change.
It does. Every single person, every minute they're out there, every second out there, whatever they're doing, it's making a difference. I see it. I see it clearer than most people probably see it because I've been watching this for many years now. And with the protesters, I've been here before the protesters were ever even around. And by seeing what the protesters have done, I am so proud of every single one of them. Yeah, some of them may have done something that maybe I don't agree with, but it doesn't matter. They're making a difference, and that's what we want to do. We're bringing awareness to the community one way or another. And our goal is just to continue with our have tenacity and continue to go forward and just baby step through this because we are making a difference.
Absolutely. Like
And
I
in
said,
saying that, we need more Spanish speaking people out there that are willing to, again, even as Michael says, not say a word, but kind of support and educate our community, because they're targeting our community. They're targeting our community. They're going after our community. And again, I'm not talking color here. It can be anybody at this point. They feel that anybody that is in their weakened state, that's who they're targeting. So any other language, you guys come out. I don't care what you speak. Just come
well,
out and show your
they're
support
speaking
as
it from the
well.
standpoint of they know that their organization is slowly dying away. Why do
That's
you
right.
think they suddenly became so involved with Nation of Islam? Why they're investing themselves into so many different groups and so many different communities to try to rebuild themselves? They've held themselves off in this secluded little pocket for so long, and it's only leading to their downfall. So now they're trying to do what they can to reach out. And it's just like with any other aspect of society, anyone who's vulnerable to the cult, they're going to snatch up as quickly as they can. So they're just intensifying what they're doing, and the Latino community is now one of their big targets. And
And our elderly, because yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw the older couple. They came down from Reno. She was ex Scientology, and when she saw people coming out of there in their little scooters, in their little, and they were not all able body, she was so shocked. She said, "You would have never seen that
look
25
at
years ago,
Harris's
and now
dad,
they're
in the
snatching
70s digging
anybody."
ditches. All right. I mean, that's what's happening. Their community is aging, and it's not populating as quickly as they would hope it would. It's dying out, and it's literally fading away. So they're trying to grasp at anything that they can. And they're going to find people. I mean, you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have prominent people who've been sucked into this. Everybody can become vulnerable to it. They just have to find the right key to open the door for you. And that's
Well,
what
they
they're
almost
doing.
got my cousin back in the 80s. And my
Mhm,
cousin was hanging by a thread. I think I've told you this.
mhm.
And the person that she was working with, her employer, the daughter was in Scientology and bought her the book. And with, she's Spanish speaking. And when I was telling her just last week, because she came down to visit mom from Georgia, when she was down here, I was talking to her about it. I said, "Do you remember that Dianetic books?" And she's all like, "Oh, yeah." She mentioned to me that she had gone she had gotten gifted this book, and the girl who gifted it to her had like this altar with incense, and now my cousin didn't know at the time what it was, but that she was chanting, and she said something like L. Ron, hi L. Ron, and I said L. Ron Hubbard, and she said yes, that's what they were chanting, and then the door slammed, so that kind of spooked her. And then my mother just kind of pulled it from under her and told her, You know what? Either you get rid of that book, or it's us or that book." And so that just solidified that the book wasn't the best for her. And she didn't go in. But let me tell you, she made us go to Hollywood to the recruiting center. And we stood there for a good 20 minutes telling her, "Oh, fuck no, don't go in there. What the hell do they need to know about your personality? That's crazy." And so we got her away from there that one time. But yeah, they were targeting Latinos even back then.
Yeah. I mean, they take any opportunity they can. So, but we are at over 2 hours and 35 minutes here, folks. And like I said, I had that long drive after a long weekend here. Michael, so thank you so very much.
Thank you, Michael.
You are
Thank
absolutely
you for
awesome
asking me.
every time I talk to
Sorry for
you.
keeping you extra, Poe. We're sorry, but
Oh, you're all right.
yeah,
No, I've been enjoying this very much. But as I say, Michael, thank you so much. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I come away smarter than before. And
Yeah.
also, you are that calming voice I think we need, because all of us sometimes we just lose who we are and what we're supposed to do, and we need that calming. And I think that you are that calming voice that we need. And I thank you so much for what you've done. Um, I can't say it enough. Just thank you so much. And Mona, you are, your insight, the way that you're willing to dig into this and find these things out,
Mhm.
you are a true asset that is on the other end of the whole spectrum there. You are finding things out that most of us have never even heard about. And it's amazing what you're doing. Becky, your fire, your passion, your love, your commitment to community make each and every one of us love you so much.
agreed.
Thank
And
you.
you're so happy to have you here. And I want to say it again. We see you, we hear you, we accept you. We love you, and we want
you.
you to just continue to be Becky. You are very important to us, and we love you. And
Thank you
folks,
for
thank
that.
you so much for being here with us tonight. I hope you take away as much from this conversation as I have and we have. We got to do another one like this. This has been such a fountain of gold for all of us.
Mhm.
Michael, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I like to share this with a lot of people that, you know, if that you haven't heard me share this before, this is something that I work with students with all the time, is that in our life, we have a physical body.
Mhm.
We have a spiritual body, whatever that might be, whatever higher power it is, or whatever it is. But your spiritual body and your higher power, whatever it is, those two, Becky, look, Becky,
I'm listening.
and I want you to look. Those two need to be in alignment. Okay? Because if your spiritual body's here and your physical body's here and you got this and this going on, you're not in alignment. And we want to bring you into alignment, because when you're in alignment, then you're doing this and you follow your heart and you're going to follow your journey. What the universe is going to bring to you, it's going to bring to you exactly what you're supposed to do. It's when you're out of alignment, you want to look and see why you're out of alignment. Make a note, look at it. Why am I out of alignment? I don't like this. What do I want instead? Make another note. Write what you want instead. Focus on this. Quit focusing on what you don't want, because if you focus on what you don't want, you're going to get what you don't want. And that's what these kids are that's what's happening with all these kids that are in Scientology right now. They're focusing on what they've been taught, and they don't know that they don't want it, but that's all they know. They don't know to focus on something yet. So our message here is to get them into alignment and allow them to see something that they might want to be attracted to get them out. So our whole mission here is to help everybody find their alignment so we can all find the path to the happy way out of this. Okay. So Poe, I appreciate you having your show.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's been nice to see you come on board with SPV TV and just everything that you're doing. Mona, you and I, you know what we're doing in the background. I appreciate you. I love you. You know that. Becky,
Love
I'm just
you
getting
too,
to know
darling.
you. Love you. Becky, I'm just getting to know you and seeing your passion. Really, you've got that, you know, that harm reduction side of you. Focus on that, make that your alignment, and bring that awareness to the protest, because that's why you're here. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll keep it up. Don't get me wrong. We're still
Oh, I know.
going out there and we're still preaching harm reduction. I just have to remember, like you said, be in alignment. And I'm not too old to learn. Shit. I am not
You've
too
already
old to
proven
learn.
it. You're
Yeah.
learning every day. You already know you can do it.
We all are
So,
learning every day.
absolutely.
Well, thank
And
you.
like
Poe.
you were
Thank you
saying,
for
Michael,
asking me on.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's our honor. You know, like you were saying earlier about, you know, how police officers, when they first start out, people don't realize the emotional and the cliquish kind of beatings that I took because I chose to do what was right and what I had sworn in as a police officer to do. Literally 4 or 5 months on the job, grabbing a senior officer who had 5 years more on the job than me, grabbing them and pushing them away from someone I was arresting and telling them, don't you ever put your hands on someone that I'm arresting. All right. That you got to have that fight in you. And I took a lot of beatings, not physically, metaphorically,
Yeah.
in the job as a police officer because I refused to back down from my ethics and my morals.
Yeah.
Like I said, I swore in to be someone who does no harm, to be someone that protects and serves. And I've taken that very seriously my entire life. And it's so easy for these young officers to get sucked into these old guys are going out and they're doing this, and I want to be part of the group and I want to be liked. Being popular isn't a career choice. All right. Doing your job, being that police officer you're supposed to be, that's the career choice you make. And it's not just a career choice, it's a life choice.
Yeah.
You have to decide you're going to be that person. And
Mhm.
folks, like I said earlier, I hope that each and every one of you tonight I've learned so much, both personally and in the fight against Scientology. And I am so thankful to have such a good group to be part of. And I hope that you all see that and see the actual value of these kinds of conversations and the people that are having the conversations. And as always, life is short. You get one shot. Make it count.